Thursday ni siku ya clinic ya wale wanapendana. Muingie kama mmeshikana mikono. Last week wengine mliingia na mkono kwa mfuko. Pana mshikana mikono. Hata kama mmekasirishana, mkikuja clinic mnaingia kama mmeshikana mikono. Today we want to talk about dating and mental health. And our question for the day, interesting question. Have you ever been heartbroken? Several people have responded, good morning. Yes, I've been heartbroken. Not once, not twice. Learned that hurt people hurt. Now I'm very... I'm wiser. Heart manenos, I'm very cautious. Oh. Dave, you say a heartbreak experience. Yes, that has befallen me. Was planning for marriage and like a house of cards and no reply came. Luckily, I'm a humanitarian trained to manage crisis and back to work, I plunged myself. I also dealt with it by accepting it. It had happened and got necessary counseling and kept company of friends who could point me when I may have been managing badly, and with time I moved on. The wound doesn't heal easily, it takes long, but one does recover eventually. Thank you. Keep your comments coming in. This morning, get to hang out with two amazing people. We have counseling psychologist Wanjiko Mwirigi. How are you doing?
Fine, thank you, sir.
Karibu sana.
Asante.
It's good to have you.
Thank you.
We also have my good friend and founder of Wellness Tribe. This is Danish Odongo. Danish,
yes.
Karibu sana.
Thank you so
it's
much.
Good to host you.
Good to be here.
Awesome.
Awesome.
You know, it's interesting. I was asking that question to some of the staff members here, whether they've been heartbroken. And I don't think I've been heartbroken, to be honest. And people find that hard to believe.
Very.
Yeah, because when I think relationships, okay, unajua kuna zile relationships za utoi za kalongolongo that were neither here nor there. Those ones we were just experimenting with life and learning things. But I could honestly say I've been in only two serious relationships. The first one ended because we decided to have an AGM, me and this lady. And we asked ourselves, do we know what we are doing? Where are we going? And we told ourselves, we are still too young. Yes. Tuachana tuna hii pressure ya boyfriend, girlfriend. And we just live life and see what will happen in the future. And then I met my wife. And then we got married.
How long after?
Maybe 2-3 years after.
Okay.
Yeah. And in fact, the interesting thing is, she once told me that there's a lady I know, and I think the two of you can be a good fit. Guess who that lady was?
Your wife.
My wife.
Wow.
We are still friends till today.
Very interesting.
Yeah, so heartbroken. Wewe ushakuwa heartbroken?
Of course.
Hebu tupatie uondo. Before you give us advice, tell us your story.
Who has not been heartbroken?
Me?
No.
Yeah, I haven't been heartbroken.
No.
Why are you guys
I
finding it
think
hard to believe?
Because sometimes and Danish, you're going to correct me if I'm wrong, sometimes what happens is instead of you accepting the heartbreak, ni kujikausha, and you want to move on quickly, you don't want to feel, because you know heartbreak is like a rejection.
Yeah.
So you don't want to feel, me, I can be rejected. No, I can't, so I have to move on.
What if I haven't been rejected relationship-wise? Mimi niliokokea kwa tumbo.
So you're not made of flesh and blood.
I'm made of flesh and blood.
So if you are, then
You see how you're deflecting? You were supposed to be telling us how you are heartbroken.
Me, I was. I'm trying to remember. It's many years back. You know those things you tell yourself is a first love and you're going to settle, only to realize that your values are different, your visions of life are very different. One of you who is me wants to settle, but then this other person is not even thinking about it. But my background was, I'd always wanted family. So I wasn't going to stay with someone who's not leading us there.
In that direction.
Yes.
Yeah.
So of course, for us ladies, it's when you are in a relationship, I don't know, I think things have changed a lot for Gen Zs, but then my generation was when you're getting into a relationship, it's to marriage.
Yeah.
We are not trying. We are doing this for that. So now, of course, when you're told, Wanjiko, may don't think that is where we are heading to, of course you feel some sort of way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Is he watching?
How would I know?
If you are watching,
But my husband is.
You need to come to see the priest and repent of your sins. How can you break Wanjiko's heart? Danish, what's your story as we talk about mental health and dating?
For me, I've been heartbroken twice.
Twice.
One when I was in high school. For me,
Okay.
too, the first love. I think I used to love. I mean, I love deeply.
You
I
love
passionately.
deeply. I
yeah.
know you.
So
When you get in, I
get
know you are
in.
in.
Exactly.
Yes, whatever it is he does, akiingia, ameingia.
Na kichwa na kila kitu.
Yes.
So I remember this. I've now forgotten. There was a strike in the early 2000s. I was in high school then, and I remember that is when the girl broke up with me, and I remember where I was lying in my bed. I couldn't sleep for days.
What?
And I was broken for a year. Like that thing really, really messed me up. I was in high school.
What are you guys talking about?
Yeah, as in it really, as in just stopped talking to me. She stopped writing me letters, and me, I was so madly in love. I'd been writing very nice letters. The second one happened in 2018. Now when I was an adult now, I was in a long-term relationship. Eventually, it came to an end, but it was just coming to an end when I was now falling in love. It had been very turbulent for a very long period of time. So at the tail end, I think God just started to tell me, okay, you thought you were guarding your heart. Now fall in love, then I'm taking this girl away from me. I was heartbroken badly. Yes.
So what's the connection between mental health and dating? Because as I was saying, when you guys walked into the studio, us when we were dating, there was nothing like mental health. Mental health ni nini na dating? Sim kama mnapendana mpendane, kama mpendani simwache kuwastiana time. So what's the connection between mental health and dating?
Let me use what Danish has just said. Is that now a girl has come into his life, very innocent, willing to love. But because of his heartbreak, he's completely guarded. Right? So I'm trying, we say it's me and him, right? So it's Wanjiko who's, you're the one who asked her out, of course.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Of course, yes.
So now he's
a
asked,
traditional man.
he's asked me out, and me, I'm thinking.
But they made it easy, so.
So you see, me, I'm coming in with a guy is interested in me, so I give myself completely, emotionally, I'm giving myself completely to him. But he's guarded because of previous experience. Yes. So now in that garden, there's going to be like a wall. So anytime I'm trying to get emotionally connected with him, there's a shut. And that makes, it's first going to make me very disappointed, frustrated, feeling excessively challenged. So it affects me mentally because there's already stress. And there's that feeling of rejection from him, him being the man. And him, because of previous experience,
he's guarding.
He's guarding. But in this guarding, what is he doing to his mental state? It's completely stressful, isn't it? Yeah.
But just to add to what she's saying, I think for me the connection is very, in addition to that, is that, for example, I did not know that I was living with a mental health disorder. It's called ADHD, Attention Deficiency Hyperactivity Disorder. One of the symptoms of this condition is emotional deregulation. So I don't know how to regulate my emotions very well. So it's a good thing because then it makes me an artist, passionate, a leader, all these things. But also your side ingine nikiingia, it's head over heels. So what happens is this, that when you don't know your underlying mental health condition that you're going through, perhaps you're bipolar, or you have schizophrenia, or you've went through some very terrible childhood, so what we call advanced childhood experiences. But then now you meet somebody else who's carrying their own baggages, carrying their own burdens. Then the two of you come together. Then I think for me it's like adding petrol to fire. So that's why mental health and relationship is fundamentally important. And Pasi, I want to challenge pastors. And let me just say this.
I am standing
so
here
when you're taking people through
premarital,
at what point do you do this, what we call intake? Forget about the Bible and all this sort of stuff, because if you're going to put two people together, make sure it's wood and wood, not wood and metal, because you might just be taking people through premarital class, but this person has bipolar mood disorder, and you don't know. This person, maybe perhaps you don't know the extent of the abuse they underwent when they were children, or the pain they went through. Then these things inakuja zinalipuka kwa marriage, then we say marriages are under attack.
In fact, one of the things I usually love doing is getting the history, how you were brought up, what experiences did you go through, which parent was authoritarian, was there any parent saved, are there broken marriages in your lineage? Because I think all those things have an effect on this individual
They do.
who wants to get married. But my other question to you, Wanjiko, would be then, is it important for somebody to be self-aware of who they are, where they are at, before they enter into a relationship? Na hii self-awareness, unanunuaga kwa supermarket gani? Because we keep talking about self-awareness. Sinajijua.
Kwanza shout a bit loud about that self-awareness. Because when I was coming here, I remembered our professor in campus when we were doing it was family therapy, and she was like, you know, you guys, when you're planning your weddings, when you're getting into marriage, there are things and questions that you need to ask, not just planning the wedding. But you see, once you start, now out of experience, once you know you're getting married to this person, whatever they are coming with does not matter. It does not matter. Because what you're looking at is that day. How is that day going to be? Yet the reality is where we are from, the baggage that we carry, the reality of the people that you've dated, the people I have dated, will come into the marriage. Because we've not dealt with them. Right? And then the other thing, before I get there, is we come from families. We view our parents. And right now there's a lot of daddies not being present in our lives. So you have a man who's not been fathered, so he's not seen leadership in the house. He's not seen, do we call him a torchbearer in the house? You have a girl who's not seen father, who's not seen authority. Then you bring these two together. So a man who has no clue of how to lead in the family, a girl who has no clue of how to be led. When, like you're saying, it is fire that you're going to light in that house. So now, having such conversations, and it's something, as Danish has said, they're not discussed in premarital counseling. They are not. Yet they are very vital, because I'll come in thinking it is dating that we are doing. We are continuing with dating, only that now we have permission to be intimate and to live together and to have children. But then now, I have not grown up with a dad. Me as a girl, I've not grown up with a dad. Then there's a man here who's telling me, you can't cook this today, cook the other. I'll start being some way. How do you start telling me this thing?
Who told you I'm cooking?
Yes, who told you?
I don't cook, I don't wash.
You get somebody else to do those things.
I'm telling you, yes.
So those are some of the things that bring even self-awareness, knowing that these are the expectations of a wife, which we are also have no clue. Our generation has no clue. Now imagine the children that you're bringing up, even worse, right? So you don't have an idea of who wife is. Mr. doesn't have an idea of who husband is. And we don't mean it's not just the money aspect, but there are nitty-gritties that make you a wife and a husband. And these things are the ones that complement each other so that you can make a family, right? Now, self-awareness is something that you don't buy from a supermarket and you don't get it just one day, right? And it's something that you have to be willing.
So it's a journey.
It's a journey.
Okay.
It's something that you have to be willing to get into, and it opens up certain wounds in yourself, because we are some of where we come from, whether good or bad. So we say you're from an abusive family. There's trauma that comes with it, right? You need to know this trauma, that when you see either man or woman, when you see your wife doing something, does it trigger something that you saw at home? Okay, that triggers. So when she does this is what is happening to me. That awakes something in you, right? For the man, it's the same thing. That when she, for the woman, it's the same thing. When he does this, when he says things, is there a trigger in me, right? So that is based on other people's doing. And then you as a human being, what makes you happy? What makes you sad? When you're stressed, what happens? It's you keep watching, you keep letting yourself learn, and even seeking counsel, seeking help. Therapy helps you deal with childhood things. Because personally, let me open up a bit. I don't like noise. Like you come and make noise at me. Not noise for children, but don't make noise. Usinikeleleshe.
Yes.
Something in me shuts. Right? So even if we were going to have a conversation, inaniuma. So this shut.
That
right?
one I can identify I don't do shouting.
Yes.
If you do shouting, my lights go out until you finish.
Right.
Then now, okay, can we now talk like adults?
Exactly.
Yes.
Now, when you know that, you can be able to communicate to your partner. But if you don't know and you don't acknowledge, the other person is going to think you're being very arrogant.
Okay.
Yeah, because I'm here talking to you, you're later out.
And
it's, you know, it's not that you're being arrogant. You just can't. And you know your limits. And knowing limits is really important.
Okay.
Yeah.
Danish, I'm just curious. For you now, as you are in this relationship, were you self-aware of your mental health state, or did that now become a discovery that you went into later?
In fact, if I know what I know now, I wouldn't have gotten into that relationship.
Oh,
yes.
okay.
Because I think self-awareness is like going to the gym, and you think that you can carry, say, like 100 kilos.
Yes.
You're 50 kilograms. This is your first time in the gym. You're gonna break some part of you.
Yeah.
And you might get a terrible injury, you know.
True.
So getting into a relationship without self-awareness is like walking in a dark room without light and you are a blind person. So I didn't know, first of all, my mental health state. I didn't know anything about mental health. I did not know anything about ADHD. I did not know anything about all this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And looking back, I think both of us were just really not quite self-aware, and it's not just one, it's a series of relationships that I've been in, because it's not something that happened once. It's a pattern I've seen in my life. And so when it happened, and eventually then I started now this journey of wellness and journey of awareness.
Yeah.
Now I know for sure. We meet and we talk, and I know the questions to ask. I know myself. I've grown extremely calmer, stable. I know what I need to do. You know, I used to have anger issues. Now I walk out, I take a walk, I work out, I eat healthy. I never used to sleep well. Like, there's so many things that have changed in my life because of that one experience that sort of triggered a mental health breakdown, which eventually led to now my life completely changing. So let me just give you another example. So one is that right now I can see emotional issues a mile off. And even when I meet somebody, I can just tell, okay, this might be an issue of anxiety, an issue of this. And so I can tell, and so I know that this will not work. And then I know the person I'm compatible with must be some sort of different for me, because I have seen that in the many times I've been dating my type. Outliers, people coming from some similar background and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I think that is not really sustainable. So that is why self-awareness is very important. Self-awareness will help you to avoid heartbreaks that, in my opinion, by the way, I don't think it's necessary to go through a heartbreak, because that
Hallelujah.
thing is painful.
Praise the Lord.
Extremely.
That is like what the Japanese say is death by 1,000 cuts. It is extremely painful, because it is a sort of pain that you feel it in your chest. It's stuck there. You can't touch it. You can't dress it. You can't take medication for it. When you go to bed, it's right in your heart, clogged. You feel like your heart is clogged.
Wow.
And you walk with it every day. You're out here walking, but your heart is feeling like it's on fire. I don't think anybody want to go through that.
Yeah.
Unless you want to go through the heartbreak of passion or community or changing the world and something fails. But just to love somebody.
Yes.
Something she says, which I think we also need to talk about, Jobo, is that we've talked a lot about people who are not fathered, but we don't talk enough about people who are not mothered well.
Yeah, there's also that.
Because there's a lot of mother wounds out here.
Yeah.
Because I think mothers play a very fundamental role in passing femininity, the feminine energy.
Yeah.
And so you find that sometimes mothers can be extremely abusive. They turn their children against their fathers. Mothers can be manipulative.
Yeah.
They tell children certain things. The child grows with a certain perspective in mind. Mothers can withhold love and affection from their children as a tool to control them. So we have talked a lot about father wounds, but I think it's time also for us to talk about mother wounds, because we have so many people out here
Yes.
who don't know compassion, don't know empathy. They are completely switched off. There are parts of them that is important in creating connection, warmth, and humanity because of what they went through, both men and women.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me add something. Because it's a Christian station and I'm Christian.
Hallelujah. We can take an
There's a
offering.
reason as to why God created man and woman to have the child.
Yeah.
Because there's a research I did in 2014, 2015, but it was more based on the father figure. But what basically it says is the dad brings the rough, the mom brings the nurture, naturally, right? But then now this thing of now mom having to stand in for father and mother makes mom very hard and extremely tough. But then now you see what happens is you're withholding what the child really needs, like excessive need. I use me a lot. I don't want to use other people. So for us, we have 3 children. And you'll find when they need the hug, when they need the reassurance, when they need the holding, it is mom. When there's roughness, naturally, they go to dad. Naturally. And it's not something that we learn. It's because that is how nature has created it to be, right? So now when we bring this imbalance of family, when now mom, because of the heartbreak, I don't want these children to think their father is so good. But the reality is, you're the one who has been heartbroken. The father does not stop being father of the children. The man, you're the one who has been heartbroken. Mom does not stop being mom for the children.
There's no ex-father and ex-mom.
No, there isn't. There isn't at all.
Yes.
Right? And now when we are growing, development is stages for children. There's a stage that is called phallic stage. That is where the boy and the girl separate to imitate and be like the same-sex parent, so that they can win the love of the opposite sex parent. Now that is where the wound normally comes in. Because now I don't have a way of expressing this to be able to be like the same sex parent. So now, like for the boy, because there's no father to be like, I'm thinking you're nagging me, you're disturbing, stop coming for these hugs and it's get off me. You're disturbing, go and be a boy somewhere else, right? But how do I teach my boy how to be a boy by being tough? I cannot. And I cannot teach my girl how to sit down with a gentleman without it being sexual. It needs to come from the dad. But now then we end up not having that, then we pass it to the next generation. Do I say they are not generational curses? They are things that we are doing to ourselves, right?
We are doing to ourselves.
Because you're passing your heart to the next generation.
Let me flip this conversation a bit. At what point in a relationship does one step back and say, this relationship is not good for my mental health? Are there some things in a relationship that one should not entertain or condone? Because sometimes they say love is blind. And I agree, but I tell them marriage is a healer. When you get married, you begin to see. And sometimes it's too late. So for those before they get married, what are some things that you can say, if this is happening in your relationship, it's really affecting your mental health, and I don't think it's healthy?
This has been said so many times. Red flags do not turn green.
They remain red.
They remain red.
Yes.
If anything, maybe they'll turn maroon, right? Because they'll be worse. You know, you can't be able to stop something when you're not aware, right? When you're not self-aware, because you're the one who knows this is how much I can take. But then the major one is abuse. And it's not only physical abuse, because we've talked about physical abuse and it's very evident. But then there's emotional abuse that there are no signs that the out world can be able to see, but you can be able to see them. Once there's confidence, you're doubting your confidence when you're with this person, that's a red flag. Like, you need to ask yourself, okay, why? Yet you're getting into a relationship to build each other. And it's not only for the girl, even the male, right? Because you can be with a girl who really pins you down every time. It's time for you to walk away and be productive yourself. Maybe some of it is, if you cannot be better in a relationship, not marriage, in a relationship, you need to question yourself and where you're heading to.
Okay. Danish, anything to add to that?
I'm just going to make it a bit practical. One, if there's a lot of conflict that you cannot resolve, so every day, every week there's conflict, you cannot agree on very simple things, that's, for me, is a major red flag. Because conflicts are supposed to be there, but if they cannot be resolved and they keep on recurring, same conflict, same level, then I think, for me, that's a major red flag. Secondly, is just respect. For example, is somebody using abusive words? Are they calling you abusive words? It doesn't matter whether they are they're doing that. Thirdly, are they making you feel little? Are they belittling you? Maybe they're belittling your efforts, belittling who you are, telling you're not good enough, or saying you're not handsome enough or beautiful enough. They're not seeing the best in you. They're constantly critical and finding faults in you. I also think we don't talk enough about silent treatments when there's conflict and then somebody decides to keep quiet.
Kneel by mouth.
Exactly. You know, just keep quiet. For me, I think that's a major,
also manipulative,
major red flag. What we don't talk enough about is also money issues. It doesn't matter who you are, but when somebody begins to cross the boundaries of money very early on in the relationship, asking you to pay rent, take huge responsibilities, send me money, all those sort of stuffs, I think for me that's a major, major red flag, because for me I'm not coming into your life as the World Bank or a savior or charity, and mostly for men. So it's very important that you realize these things. And
it's interesting you say that, Danish, because I find that today it is expected.
Yeah.
Even some of these dating shows I see, sometimes I just sit down and laugh and I say, thank you God for the generation I was born in. We don't have to deal with this nonsense. Ati wewe vile unaniona wewe unaweza ni afford. What is that? What do you mean can I afford you? Wewe unaweza ni maintain. So it's become expected that the young man, and I think that's also another reason why a lot of our young men are under pressure to seem like they are something they are not.
I agree with you, but for me, I think I see it as what I call financial abuse.
Financial abuse.
Yes, you're putting on me responsibilities that your father did not fix. I'm half your father's age. You're telling me we can't date if you're not driving. You are not driving. So let's meet at the parking lot where you're opening your car. I'm opening mine. Let's go home.
Yes.
You're asking me for fare to meet in town. Okay. Then I should be asking you for fare too.
As well,
but I'm saying these are very simple things, but can tell you about the psyche of somebody who is either a parasite, a pest, or somebody who will complement you. Because already you're a man, you're a young man dealing with so many issues, uncertainty. You're trying to build your life. You don't want a baggage. I mean, when the Bible talks about a helper is somebody who lightens the load. The load. Lightens the load. But somebody who's constantly pressing you. I have gotten into very bad, I'm telling you something that I've gone through. I've gotten into bad financial mess just because of that. Because these people would come into my life. They knew I had a soft spot. I'm compassionate. I'm full of empathy. So they tell you some very whiny things. Oh, yeah. Okay, then my heart goes and then I give money.
Yes.
And then I give money that was not budgeted for. I take responsibility that is, I mean, how can I be paying your rent and we're not married? How? Just because I'm passionate. No, that's abuse.
But then does it mean, okay, in my opinion, then it means that we have no clue of what love is?
I think in a sense, yes.
Because
tumeona Alejandro sana.
Yes. Alafu saa iyo ya you've come from a place where mom is doing everything. So you're told the man that you get, you better milk that man.
Yes.
Right? But that is not love at the end of the day. So because when you're getting into a relationship, it's because you have this thing of you assume it is love that you have. But if we go back to the basics, love has nothing to do with money. There's no money in it. It comes as an addition.
I want us to listen to some questions, but before then you reminded me of something I read of this girl who came back home and told the parents that she's pregnant. And they started scolding her and asking her who the man is. And so she called the man, and the man came, parked his Ferrari outside, walked in, an older gentleman. And he said, I'm the one responsible, I take responsibility, but I have a family, so I'll take care of whatever she needs. If she gives birth to a girl, I'll give you 1 million shillings in the account, plus this and this and that. And if it is a boy, I'll give you this and this and this and this and this and that. And he said, the only question I have is, if it's a miscarriage, what do we do? The father of the daughter said, you try again. Hey, money. Okay, we talked to some people in the streets of Nairobi about just the whole issue of mental health and dating, especially focusing on heartbreaks. And they had a few questions for our guest this morning. So if we can run that clip.
I have a question. So when do you think is the right time to get into a relationship? When do you think enough is enough in a relationship?
How can you get over heartbreak?
Do you think we have relationships or marriages in modern age? Secondly, why do we have challenges, mental challenges in relationships? We have people, women and men, they're not settling up, things are happening, they're not ready even to deal with them.
How to deal with the first heartbreak from your lover, and how can we handle it? Because it's always very sensitive, because it's the first person that you have given your heart into. How can we deal with it?
It's dating and mental health. Interesting questions from some of the people in the streets of Nairobi. I think for me, one of the one that really pops out, and maybe the two of you can give us some input into this. Why is there an increase of mental health issues in relationships? We have people who are committing suicide. Even in marriage, we are having, husbands waking up and hacking the whole family to death. Why are we having a lot of mental instability in our relationships in this age?
The reason as to why there are more now is because there's more pressure now and less places to get advice, speak to people, and social media, because we want to look like that lovely couple that we saw on TV or on Facebook or this and the other, right? I think in my parents' generation, which I assume it's almost yours, there were, what do we call them? Gatherings, where men were taught to be men. A man handles things like this, and women had older women who taught them.
Yes.
When you would see it even in the house. But now the generation that we are having, there's none of that.
Okay.
Yeah. And then now there's a change of the foods that we eat, the medication that we take. So there's a lot more, not only emotionally related mental issues, but then now there's things like schizophrenia, there's bipolar, there's ADHD, like such things, and they become more profound with stress, right?
Okay.
Like you'll find someone suffering from schizophrenia, it's never been known. But then they have financial issues which are very, very heavy on them. Like that being a stressor, it can make the schizophrenia like wake up. Do I call it waking up? It can be a trigger to it. That now the solution of, I sit like this, and instead of seeing my wife, I'm seeing a monster. So I need to get rid of the monster. It's not, it's, in my head, it's no longer a human, and it's very neurological. It's not anything that I can plan to do or I can avoid myself to do.
Okay.
So what will happen is I need to get rid of this. So it is killing you and killing every other monster that I'm seeing. And then also families hide mental issues a lot, a lot. I'm not surprised that Danish is so open with his, because you'll even do like family background. And like before, when guys were getting married, there used to be an auntie or an uncle who's going to go and do thorough research, unknown. That this family, they suffer, they do, they kill each other at a certain, so keep off. But now we don't have that. And even if a family discovers, it's locked. No one will ever know about it. So now it reaches a point where they can't handle certain things, and it becomes, it reaches a point where there's nothing we can do. It's already been triggered. It's already reached a point of no return. So it's, those are two things. So there's the hiding of the mental issues, that we don't have mentors to lead us into it. And it's both in traditional and in Christian.
And even in the church.
Yeah, because Titus said older women teach,
teach the younger women.
your younger women how to love the husbands, how to love the children. But now you find yourself in a situation, I have given birth, I cannot connect with my child, and I cannot tell my parents. Because it's not allowed. What do you mean you cannot connect with your child? And you see, you're not connecting because there's postpartum depression. And now, because it's not even spoken about, instead of it being worked on, it ends up being full-blown depression even later.
Ooh.
Right?
That is, you seem like you want to throw something in there.
Yes. I think that's one perspective. Another perspective is that when you're growing up, how many TV stations did we have?
When I was growing up, sisi tulikuwa na Voice of Kenya.
Na radio?
Radio ilikuwa KBC, General Service na
Right
was
now,
the
how many
same.
do we have?
You can't keep count.
You can't keep count. So there's an explosion of media. With the explosion of media, there's more exposure of darkness that was always in the house, but it was kept away.
Yes.
One.
Yes.
Explosion of the media. But secondly, we are the products of a generation who are raised during colonial Kenya. My father was a police officer who went to Kiganjo just after Kenya got independence.
Okay.
Which means he was taken through the proper police training that was full of brutality and violence and all this sort of stuff, because then it was very colonial in nature.
Yes.
So you are seeing the outcome of people who are raised by unavailable fathers, unavailable mothers, emotionally troubled people, people who had gone through very bad things. I grew up in a home, one of my uncle got lost in 1990. He ran away and we don't know where he is till today.
Till today.
Till today we don't know. And there's so many other families that this was always going on. There were always mothers being beaten, fathers drinking, people carrying on their backs battles of war, people who went to all these things. I don't, if you read Dreams from My Father by Obama, he connects the story of his grandfather who went to war in Burma and his father who then was very unavailable and that how that affected him. So unless we connect the dots and we see that this is a generational thing that is just exploding now, because there's a problem that older generation are saying, you people are weak, you're raised in a generation that is like this, but you're not seeing that the scars we are carrying, the emotional wounds we are carrying are because of what you went through. We're not blaming you, but we are telling you if you're self-aware and you somehow understand and have some sort of empathy that perhaps the fact that I was abusive to your mother is what has led to, because by the sexual gender-based violence, one of the leading cause of mental illness in the home, when a child is raised in a home that is not stable, from the ages of 1 to the ages of 6, a child needs some sort of stability and assurance, emotional, financial security, you know. So many of us, we cannot say we grew up in healthy homes. So when these things nalipuka saizi, we're just reaping the fruits of what we planted 20, 30, 40 years ago.
And sometimes we have no idea we planted.
Exactly. But now the most tragedy is that even in this stage, we are now going to plant more new seeds. Of parents who are not self-aware. Repeating the same trauma.
I agree.
Then in 2 or 3, 4 generations, we'll say it's generational curses. Then we'll begin to do deliverance. But right now, we can actually prepare ourselves, go through mental health awareness, heal our trauma, don't bleed on those who don't cut us, and take responsibility for our actions. Yes, you went through all that. But what are you doing to be a better person so that then you grow? And we don't have to get married young or old. Get married at the right time, when you've gone through the right things, awareness.
And everybody's time is different.
Exactly. If I got married younger, it would have been a tragedy. I can assure you the Parsi will have ended in divorce. And that would have been a statistics. But I'm glad God, in his own mercy, which I say is an act of mercy, led me through some very rough patches that then eventually opened my eyes. Today, I'm 110% sure that I'll be a better father, a better husband, a better citizen, a better leader, because of self-awareness and fixing my own trauma, which were dumped on me without me knowing.
Wow, that's a good testimony. The other question was about a heartbreak. How do you get over a severe heartbreak? You guys are qualified to answer this one. Me, hapo sina experience. How do you get over it?
I got over my heartbreak one by journaling. I journaled heavily. I journaled over
but you are a writer. This guy is a brilliant writer.
So I journaled excessively. I wrote letters to her. I wrote letters anonymously to people.
To her, telling her what?
I think the first letter I wrote when I got heartbroken was that where do broken hearts go? It was a 1,500 letter. Secondly, when I healed, I found a title. I said, "Broken hearts do heal." And then I wrote a lot of letters, and I went back and I just sat with my emotions. But I'm also here to openly admit that I cried heavily.
Wow.
I nililia vibaya sana. Niko nakaa chini hivi nakumbuka kenye nimepitia. I just wailed like a child, and inconsolable wailing. And I wailed until I remember the last wailing I did was on May 25th, 2019. That was the last cry. Yes. I remember very well when I last cried. I had a whole weekend panic attack. But I also talked about it. I mourned that bad. I wasn't like hiding and saying, "Oh, I'm okay." No. I mourned openly, publicly. I lost friends in the process who were saying, "Oh, you know," but I said, "It's my story. I'm going to own it. If they have their version of the story, let them tell it. This is my version of the story."
You remember the first time you told me this story?
We were at the coast.
We were at the beach.
I just left Hosi.
I could not believe what you were telling me.
Exactly.
Thinking like, Danish, what are you saying?
Exactly.
I could not believe.
I'm feeling like a third wheel.
Exactly.
In that one.
But ultimately, I healed. I journaled. I wrote excessively. I took some time off, honestly, 5 months, just trying to work on myself.
Yeah.
I went home many times. I traveled different parts of this country.
Yes.
I prayed a lot. I went to different prayer camps. I went to different prayer places. And I really found consolation in music. There's a song by Hillsong called In Control. That this God who is the maker of the universe came and sat with me on the floor of where I was. And he told me that I'm with you. And I never felt the love of a father like that season when God walked with me. And ultimately, he healed me and my life completely changed. That heartbreak was God's mercy. He was said, this young man, if I don't tackle you now and I fix some things here,
huko mbele,
you'll be like a raging mad bull who does not
telling
care
you.
who is on your way. So let me just fix you now. Yeah. So that's
Wewe
what
uliandika vitabu? Ulifanya journaling?
But let me add something to what you've just said. See, it's escaping my mind. Sitting in your emotions is very important. And a heartbreak does not have to be such a bad thing. Because now, like for you, it's a testimony
The testimony, yeah.
being heartbroken opened something better in you. Even for me, I'm glad that I got heartbroken. Because there are some situations that you can find yourself in because you're the only one who's loving. Then now, what? So, and marriage is not for one person.
Yeah.
And before I forget, there can also be heartbreak within a marriage.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And speaking your truth, being heard, being listened to, not to fix you, but someone to just understand you is really important. Because as he said, that is his story. It's his pain. So even for me, it's my pain. It's my story because I come from this kind of situation, which is something that is not there in many marriages, that you'll find someone is heartbroken, but you're being told, fix it, fix it. And you're not dealing with the pain that, because you know, when you're heartbroken, you can't do anything. You literally can, nothing makes sense at all. So now that one is that one for the outside. And in marriage, it can be really, really tough. But one of the things of dealing with heartbreak is that journaling. In psychology, we call it empty chair, where you talk to imagine the person is there and you tell them everything. And being completely honest, even where you feel you're being excessively stupid, it is okay because it is yours, right? So that really helps because you're going to feel heard, you're going to feel, I have poured out my heart completely. Then the other one is allowing yourself to feel, the good, the bad, the ugly, the beautiful. And that way you're able to move forward and give yourself time. Surely, time is a healer. I know it sounds like a cliche, but time does heal.
Okay.
Yeah, it's because heartbreak is like a grief. When you lose someone, it really feels tough at that particular moment. But 10 years down the line, you're going to remember them. But the pain won't be like fresh as the first time you were told or the first day that you lost the person. Yeah.
Okay. Imagine time yangu imeisha. I'm so heartbroken.
So this is your first heartbreak.
Producer, you're breaking my heart.
Do you have final comments?
Yes, throw in one.
Okay.
Yeah, 1 minute. What? 15 seconds each.
Time heals wounds, but intentional time heals them better.
Oh.
If you just sit in with your wound and you don't address it, it will go bad, it will gangrene, and the leg will be chopped off or that part of your body will be. So if you're not intentional in dealing with these things, and then lastly, give yourself the gift of self-awareness as a personal improvement. The way you go back to school and you invest in yourself, invest in your cologne, but your cologne is emotional. Invest in new clothes, work on your emotions, and as you wear new shoes, just do that so that when you come out in the world, you're coming out as a whole package, because you can be dressed well, but inside you're a whitewashed tomb, as the Bible calls them.
Very true.
Yeah.
Unataka parting shot?
It's about loving. We're told, love yourself, love your neighbor as you love yourself. If you don't love self, which is what Danish has just said, by dealing with you can't be able to love anybody else. And that is what is going to bring in now the more heartbreaks. And you won't settle in any relationship because there's always going to be a better.
Wow. My friend, clinic ninafunga. Madaktari wanaenda kuhudumia watu wengine. Mambo yao ni mzito kuliko ile tumeongea juu ya leo. I hope you've been able to learn something. young men, young women, I hope you've learned something. Don't be so quick to rush into a relationship because everybody in Instagram seem like they're going to Noah's Ark. Wanapigaga picha wakiwa wawili. No, take time, grow, know yourself, deal with whatever you have to deal with, so that by the time you're entering into this relationship, my friend, munaelekea mukiwa muko sawa. Until next week for another session on the Relationship Clinic, have a great day and God bless.
Thank you for watching. Remember, subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you can get notified whenever we upload new fresh content every day. Stay tuned and enjoy fresh, uplifting content.